Hello, can you hear me now? I think you can now. Uh, yeah, can you hear me now, guys? Yes, very good. Thank you. Well, you miss all my presentation. I was talking here for myself alone. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending of where you are. As I've said on the chat, I can see that some of you guys are joining from Australia. So thank you so much for being here today. My name is Jorge de la Cruz. I'm a systems engineer for UK and Ireland, and we are talk today. We are going to talk today about the deep dive into Veeam backup for Office 365 RESTful API. Yeah, so as I said, my name is Jorge de la Cruz. You might know me because I was part of the Veeam Bangers group, and I can see that today we have some of the Veeam Bangers who join as well to attend the webinar. So thank you so much to all of you that joined the WebEx today. So webinar information, just please write your questions into the text box. We will have like around 5-10 minutes at the end where we will review all the questions here in real time, and we will try to answer all of them. And the ones that I cannot answer today, we will do a follow-up with you by email or by the forums as usual. So you'll find the recorded webinar here on the veeam.com/videos.html. I visit this website pretty much every week because we have so much new videos, so much new recordings, other webinars from other guys around the globe. So it's always a good place to visit every week to know more about different things with Veeam. The next webinars overview as well. You can just go to this website and see what's next for the webinar. So there other guys will do really fresh webinars. So okay, so this is the agenda. The session is called Deep Dive into Veeam Backup for Office 365 RESTful API. I hope it's deep enough for you today, guys. So we will try. I'll try my best. The agenda is simple, quick. So 4 points. The first is quick overview of Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365. I'm sure you have seen these slides from time to time, but I will just do a quick overview. Then second point, introduction and quick overview of the RESTful API. Then we will do the deep dive into Veeam Backup for Office 365 RESTful API. And finally, we will see a community example, the Grafana dashboard. Let me check the questions. Yeah, okay. So we will do a community example, the Grafana dashboard using the RESTful API, and we will might touch another community projects as well. So okay, quick overview about what is really Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365. So some of you might be, you have this question for you, right? So why do I need a backup really if I'm using Office 365, right? Microsoft takes care of it. So that's the customer perception. That's what everyone really thinks. But at the end, the reality is that, of course, Microsoft Office 365 will offer to you the uptime of Office 365. They do like an amazing job with keeping this massive infrastructure up at every time. But the customer reality is that at the end you need as well a protection and a long-term retention of Office 365 data. So once again, we just complement the whole Office 365 service itself. So let's talk about the shared responsibility model. So the shared responsibility model, at the end, you can see that we have two different lines. One is the Microsoft responsibility, and the other one is our responsibility as a customer or as an IT admin, for example. So as I said, Microsoft will give you the uptime of the Microsoft Office 365 cloud service on 24/7, and at the end, our responsibility is really to keep the access and control of the data residing in Office 365. Same for the supporting technology. Office 365 will offers to you as the data replication at the end. So in case that some data center goes down, you know that still you can join to your Office 365 account, because at the end everything is is replicated between different regions. But at the end, we need to have an Office 365 backup offline copy of your data stored in a different location, same as we do with VMware or with Hyper-V or Nutanix. At the end, we have everything in production, but it's always good to have a backup of our data just offline, just in case that Office 365 goes down, just in case that a user deletes something outside of the period of that the retention that Office 365 allows you. So we'll touch that more later on. Office 365 will offer you the recycle bin. So if you delete some elements, they will still be there on the recycle bin for a short-term period of time. And at the end, our responsibility is really to keep that full data retention offline. So in terms of security, Office 365 does an amazing job. They offer to you the physical security, logical security, application level security, user admin control. So it's absolutely fantastic. On our side, at a data level, well, you just need to keep our responsibility really is to keep ourselves, secure against accidental deletion, malicious insiders, employee retaliation, evidence tampering, and so on. Or some ransomware, some malware, and so on. So about regulation, you can see here the data privacy, and at the end, we really need to answer to corporate and industry regulations, even country regulations from time to time, and sometimes Microsoft might not be able to offer you that. So for that reason, you need this backup outside Office 365 just to comply with that. So without a backup of your Office 365 data, at the end, limited access or control on your own data, retention policy, security vulnerabilities, and exposure. So this is what Microsoft offers to you. So if you don't touch anything on your plans, you just sign up today for Office 365, and you don't pay any extra, or you don't configure any of the retention policies. At the end, this is what Microsoft Office 365 will offer to you. So you can see the inbox, the delete items, the auto archive, and at the end, more or less, the average length of time from data compromise to discovery is over 140 days. So yet the default settings only protect for 30 to 90 days. Again, this is just the default that Microsoft offers to you. You can have more retention if you upgrade the plans of the Office 365 plans, but still, it will not be really easy to recover granular files or recover, for example, a granular attachment, even with that extension of the retention. So with Veeam for backup for Office 365, at the end, you will have all the retention that you can imagine because you can configure all of this, and you can restore very granular every single item. So even on the website from Microsoft Office 365, if you just go today to the website, you are going to see that Office 365, they just say there that Office 365 is your data, you own it, and you control it. That means that at the end, you just need to have the backup. So on this website as well, you are going to see that the point-in-time restoration of mailbox items, it's completely out of the scope. So you cannot go to Office 365 Admin Center and then select like, oh, I want this mailbox or this item from the period of time that it was, I don't know, like a year ago or something like that. That will be completely out of the scope. You have some retention once again, but it's not really the concept of points in time as we know it. So. New in version 2, as you can see there on the ribbon on the right, we announced version 2. I think it was last year, and with the version 2, we included OneDrive for Business as well. So we don't only protect your Exchange Online, which is very important, but now we protect as well OneDrive for Business, which is key because now more and more customers are moving from Dropbox, or are moving from big share folders or share file services to Microsoft OneDrive, because it's easy to share between the users. It's easy to have it on your phone on the go. So it's much easy to move companies' data at the end into the OneDrive for Business. So we now support OneDrive for Business. We support as well data protection for SharePoint as well, SharePoint Online, with the version 2 that we announced last year. And at the end, well, we have improvements on the job wizard, so we can protect all the Exchange Online, OneDrive for Business, and SharePoint online objects. So it's good to see here Dimitri as well on the picture. So that's awesome, and also other people from the St. Petersburg office. Additional enhancements on the version 2, we can compare and restore in Veeam Explorer for Microsoft Exchange. So we can compare what we have on the backup with what we have in production. So that's very important in the case that some users at the end, they told you, I have deleted something, or something is wrong, but I don't know really what I have deleted. So you can just compare what you have in production with your last point in time, or with the point in time that you want, and you are going to see the differences. So that's absolutely awesome, and that's part of the version 2 of backup for Office 365. So look at this slide. So we have 25 unique ways to restore Exchange items, SharePoint, and OneDrive for Business. So for the Exchange Online, you can see that we can restore any single mail. We can select any calendar. We can restore attachments. We can save just that email into like a MSG or into a PST. So you can just have portability and just put that PST offline somewhere, or just you can give that PST to an auditor, and the auditor can do whatever they need to do with that PST. So service provider, they can restore an Exchange item from a tenant. So this is very important as well with Office backup for Microsoft Office 365 version 2. We offer as well this new service provider capability. So that's absolutely fantastic. We have as well OneDrive for Business, exactly the same. We can restore absolutely any item. We can send those items as an attachment. We can save just the files, folders, export it as zip, open them, and so on, and same for the SharePoint. So very, very powerful. This is really what is important. So it's do the backup, and then later on, you can have all these options to restore any single granular item from your Office 365, Exchange Online, OneDrive, and SharePoint Online. So that was kind of the quick overview. I think that you have seen those slides already, but if not, I hope that they were helpful. Let's jump now into the introduction and quick overview to RESTful API, guys. So the adventure begins. Why this slide here? Well, maybe first because it's freezing outside, so this will maybe cheer us a bit. And second, because at the end with the RESTful APIs, this is kind of like this journey at the end. You cannot see really the limit on the starting using the RESTful APIs. You can create so many applications, so many dashboards, so many reports. You can just expand the product, the Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365, and adjust it to your business really, or to your business needs. So it's absolutely fantastic, and it's really an exciting journey. So yeah. What is an API? Well, this is simple. So the API is application programming interface. You can see that, and well, let's think about this, guys. So an API is really a waitress. So imagine that you want to go to a fancy restaurant, very fancy. So first thing you do when you arrive to that restaurant is you identify yourself. So you say like, oh, hello, I'm Jorge. And the restaurant says, okay, yeah, welcome, please sit here. And then the second thing, the waitress will, now that you have identified yourself, they will give it to you the menu with a list of, a list of dishes, or a list of items, we can call them. And then you will select some of those items. The waitress will take that order and will send it to the kitchen. The kitchen will prepare and will give some elements to the waitress, and the waitress will put into your table the result, or the dish there. So that's exactly how what is really an API. At the end is just you need to identify, and then you need to select from a list of calls that you can do, and at the end you are going to obtain some elements from that API. So I hope that that example that was clear enough. So a world without an API. Imagine this. Now that is absolutely cold outside, you just want to book some holidays into the to Tenerife, for example, lovely island. So but without an API, you just go to the web, to online, and then okay, you just need to search for flights on one website, search for transport on another website, search for the tickets to Loro Park in another website, in another website, search for some hotels or some restaurants in another website. That's not good, really. So a world with an API, well, you know, some of these websites, Booking or Momondo, or I don't know, it's so many websites that you can just book absolutely everything. Those websites at the end, they're using API. So you just go into Booking, or you just go into one of these millions, Trivago, or one of these millions websites, and from there, you just book absolutely everything. How that works? Well, that's not magic, that's an API. So you just go into these websites, and those websites talk with another website's APIs, and at the end, everything can be just in one place that you can perform absolutely everything, and we just not wasting much time, you can book your amazing holidays to well, wherever you want. So that example, I hope it's clear, but you can see APIs in absolutely everything that you are using today. Uber, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything is using APIs just to call another services APIs, and finally offer to you that experience, that rich experience that you are really consuming on your daily basis. So, okay. Very good. Let's go into what is a REST API. REST API is just representational state transfer. REST is an architectural style based on web standards and the HTTP protocol. Everything is a resource and CRUD or HTTP methods. It's a server client model, as we have seen before. Remember that story about the waitress. So the way you will be the client, and the waitress, it will be the API talking to the server. So server client model, I explained it to you this already with a good example. So once again, you're the client, and at the end, you have the server with an API, and the API will be the waitress send it to you. First of all, you need to do the login, and then after that, you will be able to select something from the menu, and then you will have the results. Well, yeah, on your plate or on your desktop, of course. So it's different HTTP methods. So the most popular protocol used for the RESTful implementation is HTTP. That's what pretty much everyone is really doing. The REST architecture uses HTML verbs to make the requests, and at the end, these are the four uniquely addressed data using a uniform and minimal set of commands. These are the four that we have in the Veeam backup for Office 365. So we have the get. With the get, you will be able to read data or resources. So, for example, the dashboard that we are going to see later on, that uses get pretty much. We don't edit anything. We just want to see what's there and get it and put it in some kind of a database or a script that we have. But also with our API, you can do post. So you can create data or resources. You can delete. Of course, that will delete data or resources, and you can update data or resources. So with these four commands, you can do pretty much everything on our application. And this kind of extrapolate to another websites or another applications which uses the RESTful APIs and which uses these four methods. So every time we call one of these methods, it may be the get, it may be the update or delete or put, we are going to receive some HTTP response. So exactly the same as if you are just navigating to a website and you receive an error 404, well, that will be like a client error. So that will be non-found. But with the RESTful API, you might have seen more errors, different errors that you don't see with your browser, for example. So the 100s, it will be informational codes. The 200s will be successful codes. 300, it will be redirection codes. 400, client error codes. I'm sure you know some of them. Or 500 server error codes. Maybe you have seen the 500 as well. Sometimes you just go to some website and they tell you like server error, and it's error 500. You just need to start doing the log, looking into the logs and so on. So these are the responses. So what we really are looking for is for the 200, right? So successful codes. So talking with an API, it's multiple ways to talk with an API. So you can use existing tools, for example, Postman. That's kind of embedded in Google Chrome. So you can just go to your Google Chrome, search for Postman, and it's it's a plugin and a small plugin that you can use, and that's you can see it there on the bottom, on the right bottom, the dark GUI. That's Postman, and it's very simple. It's very simple to use, and it's a good guide as well by one of our Veeam Vanguards, Craig. So just search about Postman Veeam Vanguard, and you are going to see that blog explaining how to use Postman in a much better way. So you can use the REST client, which is in Mozilla Firefox. You can use the Swagger when it's available. We are going to discuss about Swagger later on. You can see there on the right as well, the white interface, and you can use curl. I'm going to use curl later on, so you are going to see kind of 3 of these. You are going to see them today. So exciting. Swagger. Okay, what's Swagger? Not to be confused with Swag. Is built around Open API specification. So API description format, file to describe entire API. Too long to talk about this today during this WebEx. So it's Open API, is the specification, and Swagger are the tools for implementing the specification. So deep dive, that was kind of a 101 about RESTful APIs and so on, about the different ways to call the APIs. So that was fine. That was a 101 for just to opening, and now let's go into the deep dive into the RESTful API for our product, Veeam Backup for Office 365. So this is the product evolution of Veeam Backup for Office 365. Version 1, that was in 2016. That was when Mike Ressler and Clean, they showed us the first version, and we were all so excited to have this tool. So that was Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365. Initial release, it didn't have any RESTful API at that moment in 2016. It was maybe too new, and not much customers really need any RESTful API at that moment. Then a year later, 2017, in version 1.5, I remember we've seen this kind of, we announced this on the Veeam On, and it was quite huge. So, and this is the Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365, second release. This include the RESTful API, improve the scalability, support for hybrid and on-prem exchange. So it was a quite big deal, and especially about the RESTful API. At that point in time, I remember that Niels already created a self-service portal right after we have the RESTful API. So you can see that it was very powerful, that right after we announced this, we had already a community project around this. So very excited to see that. And then in 2018, last year, we had the version 2. We discussed about that. So that was kind of the third release of this. And RESTful API improvements, especially because we, of course, announced the support for SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business. So all of that new functionalities, new features that you can see in the GUI, they were included as well into the RESTful API, and maybe even more. So the RESTful API, it has sometimes more stuff than the GUI. So we can just build things around them, and if they become popular, at the end they will be added into the into the GUI. So that's kind of the product evolution for the Veeam Backup for Microsoft Office 365 RESTful API. That's a long name. Let's talk about the workflow now. So if we talk about the workflow of how this works, remember we discussed about go to the restaurant and to the waitress and so on. This is what really, it's the same, but it's kind of explained in the way that it really works. So at the end, you just access the VBO 365 Web API, you create the logon session, then the server will give it to you the authentication token, and it will create and send resource representation. Of course, you will retrieve the authentication token and send the request to get resource representation. Then the server will create and send the logon session representation. And finally, you will retrieve a resource or action URL. And at the end, you are going to send a new request, and so on and so forth. You are going to do all of this, and in exception that maybe if you are already logged in, you will do just like a refresh token and so on. But this is pretty much the workflow between the client and the server all and over all the time. Just what we're going to see now, which takes just milliseconds, it's all of this is happening between the client and the server. So it's kind of like a magic, huh? So for example, getting in, let's do it now, deep dive. So make a connection and create a logon session. Very simple. Remember, on this case, we want to do a post. That's there in bold. So we will do post, content, the content type, application, etc. And then at the end, we will use the type password, username, with our username and with our password, and with the refresh token, calling the VBO REST API. So that's how we get in. So that was, remember, when we went to the restaurant and we say that we were Jorge. This is how you do it on RESTful API. So now, for example, let's get in the jobs. To get the jobs, remember, we are going to use just get, and we will do the get header. And because now we are already authorized, we will have like a long token, and that will be our way to authenticate, and we will use that token, which is your better token, and the the VBO. I put there my API, your API of the VBO REST API version 2 jobs. So, and this will give us this response. This is in JSON. So at the end, you just can take this information and, well, just save this into a database or export it as a, I don't know, as a document, whatever you want to do, really. So that's kind of the response from the server when we select the jobs. Of course, this has a long scroll because I have different jobs, but you can see the last run, the next run, what is really important, if it's enabled or no, the last status, if it was success or if it was fail or warning. So that's important for us. We can see that it's it's been doing every 30 minutes. So it's good stuff. With that, with the REST API, you can see all of this within seconds. So let's go into a Swagger demo. Okay. So let's go into the Swagger demo. This is here. So, well, let me first show it to you how you can enable the RESTful API on your Veeam backup for Office 365. It's very simple, but let me show you. So I'm here. Sorry that this wasn't logging in. So this will take me just a few seconds. Okay. Okay. So I have my Veeam backup for Microsoft Office 365 here. My console, and to enable the RESTful API, different jobs. You can see all of this here. You go over here into the menu, you go into the general options, and then in general options, you have REST API, and you just enable the REST service. I just changed, I think, my token lifetime just to 600 minutes because I was doing so many development, but you can just adjust this, to what really suits you. The port as well, the default port is 4443, but you can just change this to the port that you really need. And the SSL certificate, I'm using the self-sign, but if you want to, if this will be, for example, an external REST API service that you want to build around customers or service provider, I'll recommend to you to put like a commercial SSL certificate. So this is it. Just go to REST API, click here, and click apply. That's it. That's the RESTful API enable, and we have we serve with this Swagger. So the Swagger is a small application. So you just go to the same URL of your VBO. I'm using API, but you can call DNS, and then 4443 /Swagger /UI / index. I think you can put /UI. I think it will log in. So this is Swagger. Multiple different products, they have kind of Swagger as well. So as long as you start using this and you move into VMware or into Nutanix or into any other products, they have Swagger embedded. So okay, first thing, remember guys, we need to authenticate ourselves. So let's go here. Let's do the auth. Okay, my name is Jorge. In this case, it's administrator, but and I have my reservation at this time. So try it out. Remember, this will do a post to the API with the password and so on. This will do the token. And at the end, let's see what's the result. The result was 200. Remember, 200. Okay, all good. And it will give me this this token, right? So now with this token that I have, which is massive long, I can go here and click explore. And now I'm logged in, so I can now call, for example, the jobs. What? Give me the jobs of my Veeam backup for Office 365 version 2. So let's try it out. This is the call using, of course, my token. And this is the answer. Remember, response code 200, all good. And it's giving me that I have the Exchange, I have the OneDrive. This is every 8 hours, and it's giving me as well the SharePoint. So very simple, very good. So I can see now the jobs, or if you want to go the sessions. So the sessions are, of course, like every iteration of the job. So every 30 minutes, for example, my Exchange. If I click here, try it out. This will take a few seconds just because I have so many sessions of the jobs that just for the server to give me this the whole sessions, it just takes a few seconds. So, but that's all. So once again, Swagger included within our product, included in other products. Just go into the website and just /Swagger/UI. You can see all my sessions. So my last session, the end time with the progress was 2, the status was success, processing rate, read rate, transfer data, and so on. This is another one. This is another one. So these are all the jobs that that I have. So the job sessions. Very good. You can see as well the repositories. So if I go here, let's talk about repositories. Can I see them here? Backup repos. So if I go into the backup repo, get backup repositories, I can just try it out. And I have one backup repo, I have another backup repo, I have another backup repo. So this is good because you can see the capacity, the free space, the retention period, well, the path even, and so on. So very, very, very powerful. Just the Swagger, just to retrieve information and help you if you, in the case that you want to build some dashboards, some scripts, some applications. Really, the Swagger will really help you to well, do a deep dive about the API calls that you need to use, and also the answer that you are going to have. These are JSONs, but well, every JSON is a bit different. The arrays might be different, and so on. So yeah, it's good that you can see with the Swagger very quick everything. Of course, you can delete and you can get using repository ID. So you can see this ID. And now with this ID of this repo called NTFS BBO003, I can just take this ID and click here and delete something from here, or even create something from here. So you can see some questions. I'll reply them later on. So it's an interesting question. I'm replying right now because it's asking about the community edition for BBO for Veeam Backup for Office 365. Funny enough, I'm using the community edition. So I don't have any license here because our community edition for BBO allows up to 10 users. So if I go here, license, ta-da, I see that I'm using the community edition with 10 users, and I'm using just one because my Office 365 plan is just for myself. So all the REST API that all the good benefits that you are seeing, it's even included on the community edition. So what else? You just download this for free, install it, protect up to 10 users, and even build some stuff with the REST API. Fantastic. So included in the community edition as well. So, okay, that was kind of a overview into the Swagger. Let's move on. We don't have much slides left. So let's move into the community example, Grafana dashboard using the RESTful API. So really three things that you need to do to have this Grafana dashboard for BBO version 2.0. Enable the REST API in BBO. We have seen that already. Download the BBO shell script. We are going to see that now. And finally, import the Grafana dashboards. And that's all. It's just these 3 steps. You will have like a really cool, nice Grafana dashboard. So let's jump into that. So, okay. all of this is very good. The Swagger, just I really encourage you to start playing with this. So just to, I don't know, just to create some reports or just to some applications. Okay, so we have this. Now, next step is to download the script. So you can download them from the GitHub. This is the script, and well, what is the script? What does it does the script? You can see here. I try to put some comments in all of that, in every section. So here you need to put the InfluxDB, and you need to put your VBO username, and later on you can see that, for example, we retrieve the information using a get, but all of this is automated for you guys. So you just download this, change only this thing, because maybe here, so you just change this, and that's really it. So of course, to have this, you need to have your Grafana server with InfluxDB already deployed. But well, I assume that you have that already, and if not, search for that in Google. It will take you maybe 5 minutes to deploy in a Linux VM. So Grafana plus InfluxDB, you download this script, change your credentials here and the passwords, and that's it. Okay, so you download the script, execute it, schedule it, and then later on, what you need to do is just go. Let's go into the Grafana, the public URL, and you need to select just the UID, or just the whole dashboard, and import it later on your Grafana. Let me show you kind of the results. So this is your Grafana. I have multiple ones, and then you click here, create, you click import, and then you put, well, the URL, and that's it. So it's telling me that I have it already, of course, so I cannot really import it. So yeah, I can change this and put like that, and you see, just with the URL that I pasted from here into Grafana, I will be able to import the dashboard. So just 3 steps: enable REST API, download the script, and of course just put your data there and import the Grafana. So okay, that's good. Let me show you the result of this. So this will give you for Office 365. This is going to be the result, guys, that you can have. Let me maybe put it. Can I put the full screen? No, that's not full screen. This is full screen. Yeah, it's full screen. So let's click. Oh, sorry. Let's click here. Okay, so this is the result, and the dashboard will give it to you. Of course, it will take the information of the different days. So let's 30 days. You can see these changes. So let's put the last 2 days, and this changes, of course. So, and it changes as well the change rate, and it changes as well the total objects process. So if I go, for example, tell me the last 30 days, what was the change rate? So first of all, it will give you the license users. On my case, community edition, just 1. But if you have like a full paid VBO license, you are going to see here your license users. You can have 400, 1,000, 1 million, so on. You are going to see the license users there. The new users as well, so users that you have had recently, you are going to see them there. This will be the proxy thread numbers. Not really much important to have it on the dashboard, but important to really do the sizing of Veeam backup for Office 365. So yeah, it's important at the end. The change rate, so that's what you are really the change rate every day. And also the total objects process on these last 30 days. So later on, you have as well the different jobs. It's completely automatic. So I have 3 jobs, but if you have 10 jobs, this will be completely automated. Or if you have 1 job, this will be completely resized. Let me show you. So if I can go here and then show me only the exchange, I click here. Everything changes. So change the summaries and change as well the job read write and the write and the processing and transfer data. So if I select all the jobs, once again, this changes and it shows me the last status of the exchange, the OneDrive, and the SharePoint was I had a warning, so I'll see it here. Important for you as well, it's the restore items, because at the end, well, yeah, everything that you restore, emails or OneDrives, at the end, maybe you just want to have some kind of record of what, how many items you restore, right? So yeah, this was just 1 here and 3 here. So yeah, let me see, 0 for OneDrive, and on the stats, you are going to see per job. As you can see here, Exchange, SharePoint, and OneDrive, you can see the read and the write, and you can see the processing rate and transfer data per job. So this is all graphics, and this is the job duration. Very important as well, because in the case that some job is taking more time than you are really expecting, at least you can go here and see, oh, what's going on the last 7 days? Why it was taking the SharePoint, it was taking 70 minutes this day. Well, it might be that you have added like a lot of new projects there in SharePoint, or a lot of files on OneDrive, or you migrated 100 or 1,000 users to Exchange Online, something like that. But at least with this tool, you can see the performance across the Veeam backup for Office 365. So, and last but not least, kind of a list of the jobs. So the success. The OneDrive and the SharePoint are every 8 hours. So for that reason, they are not here, because this is like every hour. So, but every 8 hours you are going to see them, and the different repositories. Once again, this is completely automatic. So if you have one repository, you are going to have here just one bar, but if you have 100, you are going to see here 100 bars. So it's very important. And at the bottom, just kind of the speedometer. It's exactly the same as here, but I think here I'm showing it to you in gigabytes, and here you can see in percentages, right? So all of this, because it's Grafana, is completely editable. So you can just go here, change the names, remove something that you don't want, play around with this. For example, something that I didn't tell you, this is the organization as well. So it will select all the organizations that you have, but imagine that you are a service provider. So you can just select here one specific organization and give access to this kind of dashboard publicly to that tenant, to that organization. So you can, if you are a service provider, you can even charge for that or include it into the service. So it's a nice to have for you as a service provider. If you're not a service provider but you are a customer, this will still be relevant for you, because you can put this into one of your screens that you have there about the monitoring of your status with Veeam One and so on. And yeah, well, you will have some monitoring for Veeam backup for Office 365. So, and this is one of the community. This is one of the community projects. Another one is Veeam backup for Microsoft Office self-service. Let me show you. So we have another community project called the VBO REST self-service by Niels, and this does pretty much the same. So it's using the REST API much more in depth, because I'm using just only the GET. Remember, I'm using just the GET to retrieve all of this and put it in Grafana, and he's using the REST API to even post things so you can restore them, you can restore items and so on. So this is very cool project as well, what Niels have done, and I recommend it to you just to take a look. And of course, this session was really to show you the power of this and give it you the tools and the knowledge to build your own tools, dashboards, scripts, reports, and share with all of that. So at the end, we can just build and build together amazing things, right? So let me go back here. I show it to you all of this. So this is the Grafana dashboard for VBO. I already show it to you. If you have seen my tweet, I say that at the end of this session we will have like a treasure. So this is the kind of the treasure, the gift for you. Just take a picture now, take your mobile. Let's do this webinar, like a two-factor authentication, something because you learned today, and something you have, your phone. Just take your phone out, take a picture of this, and go to that website, and you are going to see step by step how to enable the REST API, how to download all this Grafana thing and configure the script, and finally have this beautiful dashboard. So once again, this webinar, two-factor authentication, something something you can have, like for example your phone. I think that's it. It's already, let me see. Thank you so much. It's 46 minutes here with me. Thank you so much. Let's go now into the questions in real time with you guys. So let's see here. I have some. I'm from Jordan. Hola, mi amigo. Buena suerte. Good stuff. What's the difference between this and community edition? So the community edition we said already. If you have more than one tenant, can I tell you how many licenses are used per 300 Office 365 tenant? I really think so, because the users are tied to the tenant. So yeah, that will be per tenant. We can do it on the REST API. Therefore, we can do it on the Grafana, on the dashboard as well. So it is possible to back up Teams discussion with Veeam or only files. For Microsoft Teams, you can back up the conversations, because that are exchange emails. I think we interpretate them. You can restore them later as well, but it's just that at the moment we don't have any API for Teams to restore kind of the ID, the metadata ID of where it was that organization. So at the moment you can do all backup and you can restore to a new kind of tabs. So, but you can take a look into the white paper that Michele has put it on our website, so you can see there more about Microsoft Teams. What about the delete user? Do you mean that you want to see the delete users? I don't think that the API give us for now anything about the delete users. So let me click quickly here. Users out. That was the auth. Backup organization. Don't think we organization group, organization user. So let's go into organization first. Get the organization. Let's try it out here. So we have now this organization. The organization ID is this one. So I'm doing this with you right now, guys, real time. Get organizations, then organization user. Let's put here the organization. Try it out. Don't think we can see anything about the delete users. User is backed up. Maybe this. So is backup. You mean when you delete an user in Office 365? I think that we might have seen it here, but saying is backup none. But maybe we cannot even see it, because if you delete the user for Office 365, at the end, well, our product will not see that user. That's an interesting question. Let me look internally, and I'll let you know by email. Okay. Do you have any more questions, guys? If you don't have anything else, that is wrong answer to the deleted questions. Okay, well, Niels is here, so Niels might be able to give it to us like a better answer. What about the old data link with these delete users? Well, if you delete users in Office 365, the data of that user will remain on the backup itself for the period of time. That's the whole reason of have the backup for Office 365, right? So that you can keep that delete users data for compliance for a couple of years, or I don't know, depending of your policies on your country or the type of business that you have. So what else? So Niels have replied to all, well, he put a question. So if a user is deleted, the only way to make the comparison is doing a check against the Microsoft Graph API to get the user list, and afterwards check the backup via our API and list the output on the difference. There you go. And this deleted user consume a license. If you delete a user in Office 365, no, that user will not consume a license. I think that is a period of time between we have a backup and between which we kind of free that license, or you can force some process. So I'll look internally, and I'll let you know about the procedure of when we free up the licenses of the user. Okay. Okay, guys. I don't see anything else here. Thanks, Niels, for joining and reply the answer from Johan. I appreciate it. And we will get back to you by email as well, Johan. So yeah, don't worry. Thanks so much for joining this session today. And yeah, well, you will be able to see the recording and check up the Niels project and yeah, and the Grafana if you want. So I'm looking forward to see more developments from you. Thanks so much, guys. Bye now.